Welcome everybody to another edition of Coach Rodo Winning Regardless podcast. Today I have a very special guest on, a good friend of mine, known 30 years playing basketball. When he was a freshman at Western, hooped in, and now he's a big time principal in our school district. I'd like to introduce y'all to Darryl Blasingame from Detroit, probably the sharpest dressed principal in the whole damn city. But welcome to the podcast, man.
Thank you, bro. It's good to be here hanging out with you, man. It's a cool experience, full circle, as you said, 30 years. Man, I think back to being 17, 18, walking on this campus for the first time in a gym.
Yeah.
And the old school cat coming to call me out. Man, who is this bow-legged dude in front of his face? Shorts, man. They had my back and brought me through it. Later on in life, when it was time to apply and become an administrator, was the same dude that fought for me that stayed away. So it's a blessing and honor to be here, bro. I appreciate that.
Appreciate it.
Always gave so.
Appreciate that. So man, it's winning regardless. So why don't you tell us, a little bit of your background, being from Detroit, your upbringing, and
Man,
the struggles.
I look at all these struggles and the opportunity to share like this as a testimony, right? Like I always get to talk about the things that people said you can't make it from, right?
Right.
Coming straight from the west side of Detroit, graduated from upper high school. At 11 years old, man, about as close as we are, I lost my dad, shot and killed in front of me.
Yeah, that was terrible.
It was terrible, man, but I had something special, uniform in the mother. And I can remember 2 weeks after that walking down the street because this lady never had her like that. She looked at me and said, man, this could be a mantra or motivation. But if this gonna be your crutch, you gotta get out my house.
Oh, wow.
She said she had had too many brothers. All her brothers have been incarcerated. I went to the system, or she had watched too many people in the hood, not make it or doing all the things that we know happen in those hood situations, upbringing and things like that. So from that point on, I knew that she was serious and it was real deal. It was still tough navigating through all those situations, making it through school in a master manipulator norm.
Yeah.
I could fall through the cracks and figure out ways to make it through. But she always had a goal for it. And it was to make it out the hood and not be in those corners. So I was fortunate enough and blessed enough to have not only her, but a village.
Right.
We know coming up, that was key.
Yeah.
The village was key. So I had aunts, uncles, friends, and all those people around to help push me and encourage me, grandmother and my sister. To help support me, move me on, and give me the opportunity to get here to Kalamazoo.
Yeah.
Which was country back in that time. Alabama.
Yeah, it was.
It was different, man. Kalamazoo, not for Kalamazoo, I don't know where I was. It taught me to open my eyes to diversity.
Yeah.
It allowed me to meet people like you that I could look to and look up under, walk with, walk behind. Walked in front of me, we were like a mini little HBCU, so to say.
Yeah. Our own little crew.
We had our own little that's the dope part that is still sustained.
Yeah, yeah.
All conversations. So, and I was going through school navigating, as you said, we loved to do.
Mm-hmm.
You would have thought we played.
Right. It was down there hooping with us.
All the time. And I got an opportunity one day, man. One of my buddies was like, hey, man, I got an opportunity at Fort Central High School to coach the freshman team. You want to come coach? Like, know the game, love talking. And, man, when I did that, couple what I had 2 nieces at the time, that really sparked my interest in education.
Okay.
And I was like, you know what, man, I really love being around these kids.
Because at that point, you didn't know really that you wanted to go there.
Man, I was trying right out to go into business. All I knew from Detroit and was exposed to was business on my own. I didn't know what I wanted to own. I didn't know how to own it. I didn't know what finances looked like. My mindset was on y'all.
Yeah.
So I had 2 nieces at the time. I started coaching, and my grandmother said, man, you love kids and you feel the kid. You should go into teaching. And after some time thinking about that coaching, I went to switch my major, man. And I'm proud of it. I took off, man. At that time, I was just living my best independent life. Failing the classes, man. I like to tell people like, the man who sitting here as a principal wasn't an honor student.
Yeah.
I got kicked out of Western Michigan twice.
You hear that? You hear that, people? The man sitting next to me, who is a principal, was not an honor student. It is not impossible to dig yourself out the hole that you may have put yourself in.
Now you can win regardless.
See?
Yeah, you can win regardless. I had X on my report card. X is a failure to complete, an incomplete. And it was the jogging class. All I did was hoop somebody right. But man, having that spark of coaching, I know I love to be around those kids. And once I had that opportunity to continue to build, and naturally, as you know, I gravitated from being a freshman assistant to eventually becoming a varsity coach and having some strong success at a place that didn't really have a lot of basketball success.
Or a lot of us.
A lot of us, by no means, and we started to become way more diverse, you know, in that community, in that culture. So I taught my first year was at Billwood Elementary for 1 year, and then for the next 10 years, I taught second grade at Eston.
Right.
Environmental Science Academy. The opportunity was time to move, man, forward. I came home one day after the season, and we were at a peak of success. And I just had my middle daughter, so I got 3 children. One is 16, one is 8, and one is 6. And, you know, when I was at Billwood, I had opportunity to meet my wife. She was the first year teacher. We interacted. She couldn't stand me. A lot of them know I taught more stuff than anybody on the I started for it. I got a beautiful family now. She's an educator as well. Has supported me all the way through. But I just remember that second kid, man, came home after the season in March, man, and I went to grab her. She hugged her mom. That's all she didn't know. Season, practice, and all that. And I was like, man, it's time for a change. So I started to look for some things that, once again, I landed with my big brother right here. I said, I'm looking for a position. I had taken a position in another district. Next thing I know, this man was knocking at the superintendent's door and having meetings and advocating for me. And 12th Street's been a blessing ever since, man. This is my 9th year as a principal at 12th Street.
Been that long, man?
Been that long, bro.
Man.
9 years, man. So I still do a little coaching on the side, training, just to scratch that itch. Or, you know, I'm sitting the girls' team for support of other program, and planning and scouting, plan development and stuff. But I really love it. The principal thing right now is it.
Oh, yeah. Now, a lot of people don't know, and which I didn't know, man. You beat cancer.
Absolutely.
I mean, talk about winning regardless, but talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, so, you know, I have a phrase, man. I hate losing more than I like winning.
Yeah.
5 years ago, I got diagnosed with rare nasal cancer, nasopharyngeal cancer. Don't know where it came from. Don't know what happened with it. I'll never forget this moment. I was just sharing this with a family member this morning. I told my staff on Thursday, on that Friday, we closed for the pandemic. So we were rushing kids home. It was 5 years ago, man. One of my staff members came and said, hey, I think Dr. Such and Such is, which is one of our parents at the time. I think he was one of the an oncologist in the area. So just so happened, I went out to his wife and asked her about it. So they got this rare nasal cancer. I don't want nobody to know yet. I said, well, I ain't scared as hell. I don't know, like, what
you get the word cancer, man.
Man, he called me. He said, I'll manage your case. He said, well, with pandemic, COVID, shutting down stuff, I don't know what that's going to look like. So, man, this man blessed me, got me into UFM for some scans. He said, well, you have a really, really strong radiologist back in the Kalamazoo area that was this cancer center. So I went there through him. After being diagnosed, man, they told me that this tumor was growing so fast that if I was 2 weeks late, I probably wouldn't be sitting here on this podcast.
Yeah.
So I ended up putting a really good plan together. I had 33 of the strongest facial radiation treatment you could ever have. So if I was to develop another face cancer right now, I couldn't do radiation. On top of that, I had 8 chemo sessions.
Oh, wow.
So they were preparing the process, man. They also found some lymph nodes in the armpit that had to be removed. They were considered that was going to be stage 4. That was removed out, man. During this process, brother, I was beat to a point that I gave up. I had been through 30 sessions. I had coded twice. The ambulance picked me up from my house. I passed out on the elevator, did treatments, walked into the back room, passed out again. They had to get the EMS to the cancer center. Like when I tell people I saw the light, like
Right.
I was walking up the steps like, but I think God had another purpose. He still knew that there was some impact here on this thing I needed to do. But man, it was so intense. My throat was raw. I couldn't swallow. I couldn't eat. Everything tasted like metal to me. They had me on various like juice boxes, 400 calories. My wife and I were celebrating if I got 2 down. But man, I think from a Friday to a Wednesday, due to the treatment and lack of eating, I lost 27 pounds.
Oh, man.
And I just said, hey, I can't swallow. They give you a feeding tube. Man, it was nothing. They couldn't get me in because they have reduced from like 80 surgeries a day down to 8. 2 hours later, I get a call, man. We don't know how you got in, but you got in. Fast forward to that. So I come off the treatments. I finished the treatments, man. And fast forward, I got a new radiologist. So I say all that without going into details because my radiologist, my oncologist, the person that removed the cancer from my armpit, along with the feeding tube that got put through all parents of 12th Street.
Oh, man. Shout out to 12th Street parents.
12th Street were all like, so in a sense, man, it just kind of let me know, and man, you need to be humble sometimes.
Yeah.
Right? You can win, but sometimes you just got to listen and be quiet. Like I got a path for you.
What?
That's something I want you to go through. So, man, I got those last treatments, no joke. I have 3 treatments left, and I was like, Doc, I can't do it. What you mean, man? I said, I can't do it. I said, I ain't never lost in my life. I said, man, I'm done. The man broke down and cried and grabbed my hand and prayed for him. He said, man, you're a man of God. I see how you impact this cancer center. These people love you. All I hear is your name in the community. He prayed, man. We cried like 2 babies. And then he said, now go finish. Go beat that shit.
Yeah.
And I was able to finish my last 3. So this summer, man, July was 5 years, man.
Man, congratulations.
Yeah, it's a pretty bro. So when I talk about you can win regardless, you can win, man. And the dopest thing I saw for that encourages me is my time change. So I would go at 7:15 or 8:15 every morning, Monday through Friday. Strap you onto the table. I got a mask under my work desk right now. And it was so tight to my face that it bent my eyelashes.
Oh, wow.
Because you couldn't move during the treatment.
Right.
So one time they called me and said, Darryl, one of the machines is down. Can you come at 11? I said, yeah. Man, Rod, I walk in there. Everybody there was new. It wasn't my same crew that came every morning. I'm like, hey, little old Kalamazoo got this many people cycling through where it's deadly disease. And man, a 3-year-old walked out the back, holding his parent hand. And I said, that baby going through what I'm doing? They said, yep. And he was just as chipper as can be.
Just as chipper.
In that moment, I realized, man, you got a whole lot of growing gratitude you start getting every day.
Man, and it's funny you say that because when I watch those St. Jude commercials, bruh, and you see the kids, man, and it's like, they don't even know what the fuck they going through, but they happy regardless to the situation.
Yeah.
And it's tough for me to sit there and be like, and I'm like, man, I'm glad my kids didn't go through this. But then I look at these kids and they're just, happy and chipper. And
it's crazy, man, until that shit knock on your door.
Yeah.
Like you get a lot of scared when to something walk in your house, and that cancer turned us out, man. At that time, I had a 1-year-old, and my youngest. I was more needy than him. I couldn't go upstairs. I slept up. I slept on my wife's shoulder for 2 months. It was rough, man. But man, I looked up one day. She said, can you come to the door? I went to the door, man. There was 100 to 200 car parades past my house. The 12th Street staff and family. You know what I'm saying? Like to provide love and support for us to make that thing going. So I knew I had to win, man.
Yeah.
They did me in a little deeper, man. Push through to make sure I finished that thing. I knew I had something else left to do.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, damn, if that ain't motivation enough, I mean, okay, now that happens. And like you said, you knew that there was a different plan for you in your life because he didn't let you go right then.
Yeah.
So, what are your, motivation and, you see as your purpose now?
And my purpose 100% is to impact people and children. That's number one. I love kids, man. And it's not just kids at my school. I love kids.
Right.
I think
That was one of the pictures that I used when I told my man about you. I said, the thing about it is, all of the kids that he coached, their younger brothers and sisters know him, hug him, shake his hand. Oh, they see him anywhere, they go run up to him and yell his name.
Kids from other schools.
What like, yo son, man, exactly. I saw this like personal, man.
That was my guy. So when I identify my purpose, man, my purpose is to make impact with little children. But in order to make impact with children, I have to continue to communicate with them.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? We were speaking earlier, man, yo. I got a couple phrases I live by, and one is don't allow the adult decision to be the key to consequence.
Love it.
I think a lot of times we do that.
Nah, break that down. Break that down.
So what I mean in regards to that, sometimes our pride, our power, the things that we want to have in life, what we want to do, typically we don't think about how that flows down to the child. From arguments, from not teaching hygiene, from not monitoring behavior, all those things. That there's no clear definition on what that looks like.
Right.
But we do know that there are some things that the world does not allow, accept, tolerate, that we kind of allow our children to flow through.
Correct.
Or we don't provide them with that necessary background and exposure. Right? Our kids just need to have access to things for you to be able to communicate and have some conversations with. And I think sometimes that as parents, we haven't been taught it. No fault of ours, right? We keep what we know and we do what we know. But many times our decisions become the key as consequences. That's why we end up with so many single parent homes, right? Homes that just have it and they don't have any stability, right? And the greatest way I learned that right on some real shit, I call it mirror moment. I look in the mirror and I realize, hey man, before you suspend this kid, when you walk in a meeting, you got an assigned seat and you're a 46-year-old adult, right? I'll never forget being in grad school on a Wednesday. Dr. Karen Thomas, shout out to her, man. She saw something in me that I didn't see in myself in undergrad at college. And she pulled me in the hallway, man, and I'm like 27. And she said, you come in my class every week and you disrupt my class. But you're going to go to work tomorrow and you're going to make them 7 and 8 years old sit 7 hours and they like not say a word. She said, make that make sense. She said, and by the way, you ain't turned in an assignment. Gave me my sheet and said, oh, it's sick. And she walked in and I realized, well, you're 27, you standing in the college hallway. Right?
Like you're an elementary kid.
You ain't no different than them.
Man.
Chronological numbering and field.
Yeah.
That's it, man. So I when I see those kids, I see myself. So I try not to allow my first thought be my last thought, my first action be my last action, which gives me the opportunity to offer up some empathy, man.
Yeah.
You know, and to be real with myself. You ain't no perfect angel, dog. You degree, you got a leadership role in the community, you've done all these things, but you still got faults too.
Man, that's so powerful, man. Just to hear that, you know, you put yourself in those shoes before you make the decision on a child. Because even in disciplining my boys, I was the same way. I used to be like, well, you know what? When I was a kid, I did it, you know, way worse than this. So really, what type of punishment can I give them? That seems fair.
Yeah.
You know, because like you and I know, they kicked us out of school for any and everything without even listening.
Yeah.
You know, we got to give a kid a chance because they might be going through something like the crib that we don't even know about that behavior. They don't know how to communicate.
Absolutely.
They just know how to lash.
And we the adults, we the educated ones, and we don't know how to communicate.
Man.
So I try to work, as a teacher, I try to work with the tenses. I call them inflections. Suffixes. We use a lot of ED in the term. When we put an ED on the end of a verb, it makes the past.
Right.
We should be putting ing.
Yeah.
Present.
Yeah.
I'm horrible right now.
Yeah.
Right? Like I don't always govern myself how I'm supposed to right now. Along with the past. So why we ain't offering up a little grace and mercy? All right. The same thing that we desire and we want.
We should,
offer it.
offer it.
Man.
So, man, it's great sitting here listening to your story. What are you, other than your family, what, because, that's my greatest accomplishment.
Absolutely.
What is your greatest accomplishment?
Man, you trying to have me here all day. Man, of course, family's first.
Right.
Wife, children. Like I said, man, I lost my dad at 11. I lost my mom 9 years ago. I got the job on a Friday. She got admitted to the hospital that Friday. I drove to Detroit, came back, took my badge and my ID, picked the family up, drove back Saturday. Sunday, I had to come back and meet with my boss. Like, school started Monday. I got late. And my mother's last words, she looked at my wife and said, take Darryl back to the Kalamazoo. He got the job, all the dreams of him had.
The 12th Street job?
As a principal. I got back, I met, and I got a call from my sister, Mom and Steve. I never talked to her again. 10 months, I traveled back and forth to make sure she was okay, see how she was doing. My sister was there in Detroit with her to make sure she had everything. She allowed me to stay here many days, knowing I got this position called Piper. So every year, man, I complete. That's homage to my OG.
Yeah.
That's homage. That's homage. That's her.
Now I feel like she touched me.
That's her dream. So I think that's a great accomplishment, man. I think as an African American male, as a principal and a leader, man, is magnificent.
That's why I had to have you on, man.
It's
you exist.
See them kids show up. When I had a kid pull up today, I heard somebody say, Mr. B. And I looked, man, it was one of my former students. She was bringing her kids into the door. Wow. And I hugged her. Full circle. Man, and she was like, oh my God, I felt so good seeing you today, seeing you forever. First thing I said was like, hey, don't bring that rapping shit out here. Don't do that. But she understood. Right. But then I also circled back and said, you don't know who you're going to bump into out here. That's going to elevate your life in some way. But my greatest gift right now today, Rodo, for real, is freeing myself of bondage.
Oh, man. Tell us about it.
And what I mean by that, you talking about winning regardless. This is the start of winning, like for real in life. To be able to minimize, not get rid of, but minimize the impact and effect that others have on how I operate. That's the best freedom that I could ever have.
Man.
I can now live life.
Right.
I can be free with life. I can manifest and navigate through life, understanding that somebody gonna look at what you drive, somebody gonna look at where you stay, somebody gonna look at what you wear. There's always gonna be somebody that judge it. But to minimize how other people think of me has been the greatest gift I've been able to give to myself, straight up. That's a different level of freedom.
It is, man.
Because to me, man, none of us can truly define any of it. We can't define what's rich. We can't define what's good. We can't define what's better. There's no factual matrix to say when you hit this mark, you're good.
Right.
There's no factual matrix to hit this mark and say you're rich. Now that I'm able to do that, I'm wealthy.
Yeah.
Eternally wealthy. I'm eternally happy. There was a time in my life where I bought things for other people's acknowledgement. I did things, right? Yeah. I say that it still doesn't happen.
Yeah.
But it's minimal. Yeah. It's minimal now. So that's probably been my greatest win of my
Yeah. You win, man. You win every time. You know what I'm saying? Like, so, we're dealing with all of these personalities at the school, kids, parents, even your faculty, and all I ever hear is good things about you, which I already knew, which is why I was so fucking strongly advocating you. So, you know what I mean? Because I already knew what you brought to the table. Because again, we knew each other from the first time you set foot on campus. We knew you was a good dude. We knew that people needed to, if you was going to be in the schools, you needed to be in a school where you could impact and teach culture and teach, one thing that I know that these kids know a different side of us as a culture, because a lot of it you talk like now, like I say, kids say, yeah, Mr. D, that's it, man. He comes to school suited and booted every day, and I know that.
Yeah.
I know you,
Yeah.
so tell me how you navigate, children, parents, and your faculty.
Man, I just try to attack it all with love and all honesty. I get to look at them kids, 500 plus children a day, but within those 500 plus children, two of them are Blasingame. So how do I want somebody to handle mine?
Man.
What do I want somebody to do? And when Devin knocked on my door 5 years ago, and I promise it probably did a lot of other times, but I didn't even notice it not. Man, I was like, who's going to take care of my kid? Something was to happen. Which is the question we still pose right now.
Yeah.
But man, I now know that they ain't good, ain't. Right? You ain't gonna let them fail.
No.
Somebody else gonna show up for me, right?
Well, your village is big.
My village is big, man. Not only is it big, it's supportive, it's genuine, and it's true. Right? There's a lot of people who might not go in that village because it's over there basketball. But man, even when I see those people, they walk in interviews and they're like, oh man, we still put the red. Nah. First off, I said it first. But it's all the experience, right? People knew my competitive edge. People know that I truly give the best that I got.
Right.
To help support them. So when I tried to mesh, man, I think one of our goals was to bring our community in more. That's one thing which we have done. I mean, when you think of the school and the surface level things that people in education want, you have those. Our kids come through the doors for the most part, really good line.
Man, and I heard you out there meeting the bus every day, shaking every child that walk on that bus in my high five or shaking. That is so fucking impactful, man.
My goal is every year that every one of them kids' name. I believe everybody in this world deserves to hear their name called at least once a day. When I walk into a store or restaurant, the first thing I look at is the badge.
Me
too. What's up, Robbie?
Because when you helping me, I want to use your name. I don't want to say, hey. I want to be like, hey, Teddy, or you know what I'm saying, hey, Jimmy,
Absolutely. And that goes back to the mirror. Mirror, what do you need?
Right.
We all have, I talk about the love language. I said, whoever came up with that, they good. Because all they did was call in and get 5 different things that somebody might need. But when you think about what it all equals and the synonym of it, it's just, I need to be studied.
That's it.
Right? Your love language may be quality time.
Yeah.
But all I'm saying is, baby, you sitting here watching the Knicks with me.
Yeah.
I know that means something.
Yeah.
Right? I like it. Yeah. When the Air Force One come in, I'm like, baby, you know that is coming up. All people want to be saying, man, so I always look and say, hey, man, what these people?
Right.
But I will be fortunate, man. I walked into something special at 12th Street. That staff needed me and I needed them.
Especially, with your mom and
cancer.
Yeah, the cancer.
My favorite student I ever taught was involved in a car accident that passed away my year one. My best friend passed away from Detroit in year one. Man, them people wrapped their arms around me and loved me in a manner that I probably could never replicate or give back to them. It helped me with my pain, dog. Seeing the kids every day really helped me with my pain. We developed a mantra, man. We want people running in the doors and not out the doors when the bell rings.
Right.
So I want that from my staff. So what do? I try to provide as much stuff as I can. Check in with them, support them, lunches, t-shirt, anything that I can help do. But they give it back to me, dog. They give it back to me, straight to me, but they also give it back to the kids, and that's all I want.
And it's funny, because one of your teachers lives in my neighborhood, and when she talks about you, it's like she's telling me what I already know. And, in a sense, I feel like a proud big brother.
Yes, sir.
Because, me, Rashad, Jay, all of us, all of us, and you wrapped your arm around us back and allowed us to do that. And when we hear, at least when I hear the great things, when you're doing over there at the school, a lady that's direct contact with you in my neighborhood and has like the great, the greatest thing to say about just to know you and you know what I'm saying? Aside from everything else, just to know you and know what type of person you are, and then to hear kids say the same thing, man, it just makes me feel so pretty proud, man.
Appreciate it.
have a relationship that we are, that we the friends that we, the brothers that we are.
Yes, sir.
You
It
know,
was always big bro, man. It was some significant people that called us to do that. Yeah, you get Rodney Marshall, Harold Swift, Ray Robinson, man. You guys, Arnold Taylor, it was you guys. It was like, get this little young rock dude. Go sit down with him at lunch and talk about. I don't know what y'all saw, but like I said, I remember to the day you had on these sleeves, Florida State Seminole hoop short, and was out there left hand giving. Fuck it. And the guy said something. I was like, man, dude stood up for me. Told him, hey man, I'm gonna fight you right now.
let's go outside. It's going
But
outside.
y'all always tell me down and support it. Even like when you think about it from the coaching link, right? Here I am, the rival with your son.
Yeah. That was
Would you ride? I mean, I probably would have won the championship that he would have gained.
You left.
But you know, like me attacking him on the court, making it better. But man, you gave me the time of father for your own child. He was, hey man, don't talk to him.
Yeah, man.
You know.
You did. I mean, you were one of the people that he actually fucking listened to. And
Yeah.
your word meant something to him, you know, and I appreciate that. So,
Yeah, but that's the gift. It's two-way. And often when you talk about adult decision becomes the kid's consequence.
Right.
We don't know how to raise our hand for help.
Right.
If a child doesn't raise his hand in a classroom on a math assignment, I taught a grade assignment, first thing I'm going to ask, why didn't you raise your hand? But we don't know how to raise our hand as adults either. And not that you needed to raise your hand, you said, hey man, here's my problem. Yeah. Do what you need to do. And that's what we need. And that's when you talk about the parents and the children and the staff, I'm trying to maintain the village.
Yeah.
I think the goal of the world was first to get us in these households with single fathers. Now the goal is to tear down the village. Villages are gone. Because villages are gone and there's no adult connection. Kids constantly.
Now we like to end the day with a what is a quote that you live by? It was a quote that you live by.
I got two, man. Three. One is perception impacts the experience.
I like that.
Whatever you believe, it's gonna show up.
That's a fact.
Perception impacts the experience. I go back. I got one that was called on every mirror in my house. It says define. We get to define it, right?
Whatever that moment is.
What is wealth? What is rich? What is good? What is greater? What is better?
What kind of day am I having?
What kind of thing I'm gonna have? You get to define that stuff, man. Just listen. Just listen. Just listen, man. Take the time sometimes to close your mouth and listen. There's a lot of knowledge out there filtering through the world, whether it's through somebody verbally communicating or just listening in silence, something that comes to you. Perception impacts the experience, define or just listen.
Now, do you have any upcoming things that you want to plug, or events, or
I don't have anything specific, but if anybody's interested in donating and supporting children at 12th Street, we'll happily accept any type of funding donations. Now, we do have something that we started last year at our school where we have staff shirts that we wear and get every year with our slogans, mantras, and logos. Well, now all of our kids get the same shirts that we all the entire school, all 500 plus children with the adults. So we typically have some sponsors do that. So we're always looking for any extra help and support with that. Coming up in November, the biggest fundraiser that we like to do, which is the holiday giving drive. So we do like fundraisers where they can turn this to be a smash a pie in my face or take me to a ball we've done and I'm too old to take to the wall now. Whipped cream or turns ice cream sundaes, man. And what we do with all that money, we give it to the families.
I heard about that.
That's what
she was telling me. That one of them.
Last year, man, our community blessed us with donations. We were able to give out the 25 families, $250. So if anybody's interested in donating the money, whether it's a 12th Street or not, once again, I'm about doing what's best for children. I believe that that's the worst system we have, all individual school districts. that we're competing with, because we competing and comparing schools. So we're comparing the kids.
Yeah, instead of collaborating and helping.
Right? We just one big old district working alongside one another. So I just truly love children, man. So if that funds me to go to another school or another district and you want to offer donations, come hang out with me at 12th Street. I'm willing to do that.
Yeah, man, that'd be something I'm gonna look into myself.
Yeah.
You know, because I always, I love to, I donate. We as a company donate a lot down there to Lincoln.
Okay.
Because, they got the YMCA and they got the homeless kids down in that area too. That school services, you know how.
Shout out to Miss Roberts now. Yeah, she was one of my homies in college, and we taught together as well. Coming up to KPS.
She's great. She allows us to come to that school and, whatever it is we need to do to help them kids.
Yeah.
Because they're the kids that are, that village.
Yes, absolutely. So that's dope, man, that you continue to do that and all the things that you got going as well. I think it's a blessing, man, for you to offer me this time to come and hang out with y'all here at Aldever.
Yeah.
And be on the Winning Regardless podcast. Just a shout out to anybody that's seen this, man. This is a beautiful opportunity, but I want people to truly pay attention to those terms, winning regardless. There's a multitude of ways that you can define it.
Right.
Webster, you can go to Google. You got all the AI stuff, but those two words put together mean a lot. So that's dope, man, that you started there.
Thank you, man. I appreciate your time. And again, he already plugged us. Thanks for being a guest on Winning Regardless, man. We'd love to have you on again. Do some things. Got something else you want to plug? Talk about, let us know. You can find us on YouTube, wherever you listen to your podcast.
All right.
We'll make sure that you get it, man. It's been a treat to have you here.
Appreciate the love, bro.
Love you, bro.
Love you, man.